Good morning and welcome to the first of our 2023 RMAEC webinars. We thank you for being on this morning. You've got three of us here from CAPA this morning, myself, Mike Skinner, and Tom Peterson, the Executive Director, Mike, our Director of Engineering. We're on to provide a little bit of information for you this morning. But before we get going, we do provide these webinars throughout the year, and they're provided at no cost. Due to those people that you see on the screen, our sponsors. We really thank our sponsors for helping us to offset the cost of putting on webinars each year. We have a lot of new people on this year. We're advertising this not only here in Colorado, but across the country. So we have a lot of people on from all across the country. So you can see our webinar sponsors, begin with our great partners at the APWA Colorado chapter, the Colorado Association of Road Supervisors and Engineers, MEGPEG, which is the Municipal Engineers Pavement Engineers Council, Federal Highway Administration, and our industry sponsors, Cassie Easy Street, Schmidt Construction, Vance Brothers, A1 Chip Seal, Bendix, and Black Magic. We want to thank all of them for being on with us and sponsoring our webinars. A little bit of housekeeping as we get going this morning. Turn my notes off my desk. At the end, we will open up for questions and answers. If you do have questions that you want to type in during the session today, please feel free to do that. Find the chat window that's there along the right-hand side. Go ahead and it's on the right-hand side bottom. And type in your question. We'll hold them until the end of the webinar, and then we'll open back up when we're done for some closing comments. I know that our Executive Director, Tom Peterson, already has some closing comments he would like to add, and any questions that you might like to add. And we'd encourage you, if you can, unmute and you have a microphone to ask those questions live. If not, you can type them in the chat window, and we will answer them. I will read them, and we'll get those questions answered for you as we go along. So without any further ado, we will go ahead and start the webinar, Mike.
Well, good morning and welcome to our webinar. My name is Tom Peterson, and I'm excited to be part of the webinar presenting today as part of the CAPA team. Mike Skinner, our Director of Engineering, Tom Clayton, our Director of Technical Services, to provide you with what we think you need to know, or what is informative as we start the new year. Our webinar, entitled 2023 Asphalt Industry Outlook, Market Conditions, Trends, and New Developments, and it's provided for all of our CAPA members and our agency partners. And so a brief outline of the webinar. First, it's intended for our participant list, which is included on the bottom left-hand part of the screen, where you can see we have producer contractors that are participating here this morning, suppliers, consultants, product and service providers, and agency personnel, city, county, town, state, and federal government are part of the webinar. Outline will include an overview of CAPA, who we are and what we do. Some of you, this is your very first CAPA webinar you've ever been part of, so we'll take a few slides just to explain a little bit of who we are as an organization, a look back at 2022, a look forward to the market conditions of the new year, industry trends, new developments, and what is available through CAPA in terms of resources and professional development opportunities. First, CAPA, our mission, listed there on the left, rock solid to advance the use and quality of asphalt pavements in Colorado. If it's black, we want to be part of it from a resource and technical support standpoint. CAPA, our membership, includes 24 producer and supplier organizations, 162 associate and affiliates, and we're one of 3 associations in the country that has associate affiliate members, agency members, 77 city, county, towns that have chosen to be members of CAPA. So a total member organization of 263, making CAPA the largest state asphalt pavement association by member number in the country. Our industry partners included here, the Asphalt Institute, NAPA, the State Asphalt Pavement Associations, the Asphalt Pavement Alliance, and of course the National Center for Asphalt Technology, the Rocky Mountain Asphalt User Producer Group, and AAPT, the American Association of Asphalt Pavement Technologists. 2023, a big year for CAPA. It is our 40th anniversary, and we're excited to recognize this milestone with a number of exciting opportunities throughout the year. A core of our membership is our producer supplier members listed here. A couple of changes from last year. Kirkland Construction is no longer. Neither is Keene Construction. Don Keene Construction out of Fort Collins, another new merger acquisition as part of the Simon contractor team, as you see up in the upper left. And so our industry continues to have a balance, or at least a representative of small locally owned and operated companies, and then the larger vertically integrated national or internationally owned and operated. One new development on our executive committee, the leadership of our industry, is our executive committee. Newly elected president, Russ Larson, who's the president over at Elam Construction and Peak Materials. Russ will be our president for the next 2 years. Our vice president, Grant Cruz-Turner from Brandon Sand and Gravel. Ryan Yock from Martin Marietta is our secretary. Ed Wells, Connell Resources treasurer. Mike McDonald from Keywood, our first past president, and 4 other officers rounding off our executive committee. Stu Ponting from Cassie, Jeff Keller, APC Construction, Scott Davis from Schmidt, and finally Ken Colson, Colson Excavating. 3 new board members that were voted on in December. Tony Mackey from Wholesome, Jess Hastings Benish, and Kerry Jones from Kumar and Associates. So we're now on our board. We're represented by Cage through Kerry Jones at Kumar and ACEC, Jess Hastings at Benish. CAPA, we administer the CDOT LabCat certification program that we celebrated our 25th year with the program in 2022. This is the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Mountain Asphalt Conference and Equipment Show, the largest asphalt event often west of the Mississippi. And we also are part of the Colorado chapter of the Women of Asphalt, one of the most active chapters of the Women of Asphalt in the country. Our industry, asphalt pavement material industry of Colorado, 66 stationary facilities in 42 Colorado counties. And in 2022, as I'll share here in a minute, we estimate 9.25 million tons of asphalt material was placed in Colorado. A majority of our producers operate sand, gravel, and quarry operations. Majority of our producers are also general contractors, and still that balance within our industry, small, privately held, locally owned and operated firms, and then the larger vertically integrated, publicly traded, national or internationally owned. As CAPA, we are intended to advance all aspects of asphalt pavements, being involved cradle to grave, design, construction, maintenance, and an ever-growing involvement in asset management. Asset management is how many roads you have, how many miles, what's the condition, and what funding levels are needed to maintain or improve your current condition level. Complete service organization. We're not a consultant, but we are a industry trade organization advocating for best practices, innovations, hard looks at new technology, training, and education is a core function of CAPA, as well as promoting and marketing the use and benefit of asphalt pavements in Colorado. A couple things that we are proud of being part of in 2022 at the local level. We worked with the MEGPEG, the Municipal Government Pavement Engineers Council to update their asphalt specification. That was an excellent process. It's now a spec that can be referenced in all locations within the state of Colorado. Secondly, the election in November was successful in 2 local ballot measures. Pueblo West Metro District Ballot Measure 2C was passed. I'm sorry, it's 6C. And then secondly, in El Paso County, the continuation of ballot measure 7A, which funds the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. So those are a couple examples of CAPA being involved in advancing the use of and quality of asphalt pavements in Colorado. Let's take a hard look at the asphalt market in 2022. 1 year ago, this was our projection. We projected in 2022 that the asphalt pavement market would grow. It would grow because of increases at the city-county level, which comprises 35% of our market. It was going to grow at the state DOT level, and that there would be a stable commercial, residential, and other market in Colorado. So we projected that the 8.9 million tons of asphalt placed in 2021 would grow 6% to 9.4 million tons in 2022. Well, then the year hit, and there were several market conditions that were very important that occurred throughout the year. Number one, inflation. As you can see on this consumer price index graph, mid-year, January through April through June, the CPI increased as tracked by the Business Council of Colorado, 9.1% year over year, the fastest pace in 4 decades. Number two, supply chain disruptions on the asphalt side, on the cement, impacting concrete placement, curb, gutter, sidewalk, impacting projects, and then trucking and transport of liquid asphalt. So those were several key market conditions, market issues in 2022. On the positive side, we saw the completion of several CDOT mega projects, as seen in the upper right photo. The Central 70 project came to completion. We saw the completion of the gap, which was between Colorado Springs and Castle Rock. We saw the commercial residential market stayed strong and steady in completing projects. And then we had a dry, extended paving season late into November, even early December. So the actual volume of work, as shown here in this graph, look at the 2 blue columns to the right, the one on the far right representing 2022, and the one right next to that 2021 actual. You can see just a slight increase in the collections of what we call AIAP, which is our assessment process, assessing the volume of asphalt paving by our members in Colorado. So the actual 2022 market of asphalt pavement in Colorado increased approximately 3.5% as compared with 2021. And we calculate that by the revenue that we take in divided by the assessment amount to come up with a total tons of AC, 410,325 tons. We estimate that there's 4.8% virgin binder in a ton, coming up with 8.55 million tons of HMA, SMA asphalt materials produced. Then we estimate there's 700,000 tons of material placed that's not reported or placed by non-members. So a total estimated market in Colorado in 2022 of 9.25 million tons of asphalt materials. And that's shown on this graph. The 5 segments of our market, city and county representing 34%, CDOT increasing to 21%, commercial, residential approximately 35%, and other at 10%. That's the market in Colorado. And we estimated a 10% growth in the city-county, 15% increase on the CDOT, going from 1.75 million tons to 2 million tons. And so we estimate that the asphalt market in Colorado grew from 8.9 million tons in 2021 to 9.25 million tons in 2022, a 3.5% increase. If you talk to the industry as a whole or in general, 2022 was a good year. Now, jumping right into the 2023 outlook and the asphalt market conditions of Colorado. The first resource that we looked at was the Colorado Legislative Council staff report or economic and revenue forecast published in December of 2022. One primary takeaway, this forecast anticipates continued slow growth in Colorado and the nation through 2023 and a return to more moderate pace of expansion in 2024. Why? In the latter half of 2022, the Federal Reserve's aggressive step to rein in inflation, i.e. raising interest rates, have become the primary risk to the current economic expansion. Their report also included a noteworthy reference to the labor market. It included the statement that different areas of the economy are exhibiting different degrees of strength and weakness. Labor markets continue to be a bright spot with low levels of unemployment, plentiful job openings, and rising wages. In other words, for our industry, another tight labor market. A second reference that we looked at was the Denver Business Journal, issued a report just after the first of the year, a week ago, of the 2023 Colorado construction forecast. Increased negotiations and cost-effective bills was the title of the article. They identified 7 critical issues facing the construction industry in 2023. Inflation, rising interest rates, labor costs continuing to rise, the price of materials has steadily increased, declining consumer confidence, an expected recession. We don't know how long or how bad, but one is expected, and concerns about delayed projects continue to grow. The Denver Business Journal also identified 4 critical considerations for 2023. Number 1 is that the private sector market, multifamily, housing, office buildings, distribution centers, is expected to slow due to inflation and higher interest rates. Number 2, publicly funded projects, hospitals, schools, infrastructure are more likely to move forward. And then number 3, cost-cutting measures may need to be considered in terms of your budget forecasting. And finally, double-digit inflation in mid-2022 has leveled off in quarter 3 and quarter 4, and these should continue relatively flat in 2023. This is an important statement because if you're looking at developing a budget based on January 2022 with the spike in costs in mid-year 2022, it's much different than building your budget based on prices and costs in third and fourth quarter 2022. Another reference and resource that we looked at was the Colorado Lead School of Business economic forecast that was published and presented at the first part of December 2022. Nationally, expected slow growth in GDP in 2023. This is due to inflation, high interest rates. The Colorado economy will stay competitive with slower growth in 2023, and key economic issues, inflation, increasing interest rates, growth caps, worker shortage supply will continue in the new year. The economic forecast identified 2 emerging trends within the construction sector. Residential building, especially single-family, privately financed construction, is quickly coming under high downward pressure, while infrastructure, non-building, public finance is growing in volume. All construction subsectors continue to suffer from labor scarcity, delays in supplies, and price increases. Financing is harder to obtain, and non-building construction, that's what we do, infrastructure will grow by 10% over 2022. Water supply funding, roads, dams, bridges, mass transit will increase, but what the unknown is, or what we have not seen, is increases to asphalt tonnage. As an example, here is the slide that shows the federal funding for transportation. And you can see FY16 through FY21 in that mid $40 billion per year range, and that jumping in FY22 to FY26 to 58.8, 60, 61, 63 billion dollars investment by the federal government in transportation. How does that translate into more tonnage? We'll find out, but as far as in 2022, no. 2023, no. Possibly in the years looking forward. The Colorado Business Economic Outlook also included the population in Colorado will continue to grow. In 2022, it was 46,000 residents. This is expected to grow or rebound to 55,500 in 2023, with a majority, a high percent of that growth in the Colorado Front Range. Two very important bullet points, and referencing the graph over on the right-hand side, is Colorado's housing industry. And this is the residential market. The number of single-family permits issued in Colorado totaled 25,700 in 2022, which is a 15% decline from 2021. A 7% reduction to 24,000 permits is expected in 2023. Now, switching from single family to multifamily, they expect the 22,000 multifamily units to be permitted in 2023, which is a 20% decrease from 2022. The multifamily, apartments, condos, townhouses continues to grow as a percent of the home construction market. And if you look at that bottom row, or the second to bottom, 2022, you'll see that in 2022, multifamily exceeded single family of 25,700. It is estimated that this was the first time ever that multifamily housing permits in Colorado exceeded single family permits for the very first time. Now, why is that important? Strictly from an asphalt construction, asphalt pavement standpoint, look at the picture on the bottom right, multifamily. The amount of asphalt or pavement used for multifamily construction is a small fraction, 10% at best of the amount used for single family housing construction, as you see in the photo on the upper right. That is a new cul-de-sac, and there'll be 15, 20 homes in that area. But the importance of single family versus multifamily from an asphalt tonnage standpoint. So we are projecting, based on the information from the experts, in 2023, single family permits will be down 7%. Multifamily permits will be down 20%. So the residential market from an asphalt tonnage standpoint will be very close to what you see on the single family side, or what we project as an 8% decrease in the residential market in Colorado. On the non-residential, the commercial side, remodel, offices, medical, schools, churches, retail, or what you see a New King Super going on here on the north end of town in the photo on the upper left. The starts in 2022 are forecast to end the year at $5.7 billion, up 2% from 2021's nearly $5.6 billion. Non-residential construction starts are expected to decrease by 3.5% in 2023 to $5.5 billion. I saw Michael Gifford of the AGC last week, and he said, you know, that slight decrease in the commercial construction projected in 2023 to some will be a relief, as it will lighten the burden on a constricted workforce. And so that was a comment from the AGC. So we're projecting the commercial market, which is 1/3 of 30% of the asphalt volume in Colorado, to decrease by 3.5% in 2023. Switching gears, market conditions, crude oil. And this was from the Colorado Business Economic Outlook. I'll quote it. The 2022 average price of $98 per barrel so far is 44% higher than the WTI in 2021, with a mean daily price of $68 per barrel, and is 150% over the 2020 average price of $39 per barrel. Looking toward 2023, the forecast is for pricing to come down a bit to the range of $65 to $95 per barrel on average. And then they reference political and economic events at both the national and global market to impact swings in pricing and create supply and demand imbalances. And so we know that all too well here in the Rocky Mountain West with respect to asphalt binder supply and cost dynamics that impact. Here's 5 or 6 items that are important to note with respect to crude oil and asphalt binder supply and cost dynamics. Number 1, crude oil availability. Refinery capacity reduced throughput when lower petroleum fuel demand. Refinery reconfigurations, refinery acquisitions, refinery closures, all impact availability of liquid asphalt. Refinery startups and upsets. And of course, that alludes to production problems and issues that impact production, supply and demand, i.e. asphalt production economics and fuel conversion economics. And 2 in red that are, if you will, newer or now in the mix of dynamics that impact supply and cost are transport, trucking, and rail cost and availability. And finally, energy and terminal costs to heat and store asphalt. As we enter 2023, one dynamic that we have here locally was reported here on December 29th that Suncor had shut down its Commerce City asphalt refinery due to the cold weather and production problems. And the article quoted rising concerns about air quality and higher gas prices. This is the press release that was issued by Suncor on December 28th, and it alluded to due to extreme and record-setting weather impacting much of the United States, including Denver, Colorado, Suncor's Commerce City refinery experienced equipment damage in the days leading up to December 24, 2022. Consistent with our operational excellence and safe operating practice, on December 24th, it was determined that the entire facility would be shut down and put into safe mode to allow for the inspection of all units and repair of the damaged equipment. The inspection and repair of the damaged equipment is ongoing. Based on our current assessment, we anticipate a progressive restart of the facility with the return to full operation expected to be completed by late Q1 2023. So with that in mind, and with information from other suppliers, it's our position that there does not appear to be any other supply issues throughout the Western United States. Number 2 is the extent of the damage at the Suncor refinery is being assessed, and that assessment is ongoing. They do have liquid asphalt products that are available and remain available. They expect to be operational by late Q1 2023, and Suncor and producers are looking to secure alternative asphalt supply. And as mentioned earlier, from a pricing standpoint, we had a peak in the market in mid-year 2022 with stable pricing in Q3 and Q4. And even on the liquid asphalt side, since December 24th and the shutdown at the Suncor refinery, we've seen stable pricing being quoted since that time. So what does this mean for the agency? Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball looking forward, but we can, at least at this point, if we're asked, what can agencies do in response to these dynamics? Number 1 is to look at being a little bit more flexible with your construction start dates and look at possibly extending construction time to account for these continued supply chain dynamics that we have here in Colorado. Another point of reference with respect to asphalt is the CDOT index. You can see that December, the index average was $313.53, which is lower than we started the year in January of 2022. You can see on the graph on the right the benchmark numbers as it relates to previous years. What's interesting in Colorado is that with CDOT's AC cost adjustment specification, the new spec was implemented in 2020. It's optional versus previously mandatory. It has a 10% change trigger. The reference is Potent & Partners, Argus. And as a result, nearly every contract, very few, are opting in recent years. The CDOT market. This is a very important piece of our market, roughly 20, some years as high as 25% or more of asphalt tonnage placed in the state of Colorado is on state highways. The 23,000 lane mile highway, state highway system that we have in Colorado, there's three primary components. Number one is the surface treatment program, your mill and overlays, as depicted there on the left. Major reconstruction, major capital projects, other funded are in a second category. As you can see, the Central 70 in that middle photograph. And then the third component is supply at the plant, feeding the maintenance that CDOT does themselves with the orange truck. So those are the three primary components of our CDOT market. In November, CDOT projected that in 2022 that we would project 1.3 million tons. The actual tonnage is still being compiled. They're projecting in 2023 that number to drop to just over 1.1 million tons. And the big drop is in the major project category, where several projects are now complete. But you can see in nearly every year, the actual tons versus the projected, it goes up. And why is that? Is because the projected tons is primarily their surface treatment program, and the actual tons includes those capital and other funded projects, to the point where in 2021 it was double, projected 938,000 tons, actual almost 1.9 million tons. And so a major component in recent years of the CDOT volume was on the major corridor improvement program, Central 70, $1.7 billion project. The South Gap, $325 million project. And of course, the projects up north, the express lanes in northern Colorado. And so in 2023, we expect the capital construction and other funded projects to include the following tonnage levels. In Region 1, South Santa Fe, 50,000 tons. In Region 2, I-25 Fountain North up to Circle Drive, 30,000 tons. Up north here on I-25, 20,000 tons. Over on I-70, the Vail Pass, the CMGC project over there, 25,000 tons. Way down in Durango on US 160, US 550 on Region 5, 50,000 tons. And we got two carryover projects, Region 2, Colorado Springs to Penrose on 115, 57,000 tons. And then way out east in Region 4, US 385, 60,000 tons of carryover on Cheyenne Wells North. So that's 322,000 tons of capital or other funded projects that we're projecting here in 2023. On the asphalt supply side, very stable. 8 CDOT maintenance sections. They break their year into two components, November 1st through the July 1st or June 30th, July 1st to October 31st. And the breakdown, very consistent from previous years, 30,000 tons collectively in the 8 maintenance sections, November through June, and then 90,000 tons from July through October. So CDOT supply quantity of 120,000 tons total. One interesting note, Region 1 of CDOT is expected to continue with what they call their IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, for maintenance paving by contract. It was implemented in 2021 of great success. It was continued and expanded in 2022, and it's expected to continue in 2023. So the CDOT asphalt pavement projected 2022 versus actual 2022 is shown here, broken down by region. You can see the ST, or the surface treatment plan tons, in 2022 of 1.4 million tons. Actual was a little bit less than that, but within a stone's throw at 1.36 million tons. And you can see the variation in each of the regions. So it was projected and planned and actual tonnage very close at that 1.4, 1.3 range. On the capital side, we saw the completion of the gap, continuation of paving up north on I-25, the completion of Central 70, the initial paving on I-70 Fountaindale Academy, and the initial paving on the 550-160 interchange down in Durango. So the capital project program of CDOT in 2022, 446,000 tons, with the supply at 120,000 tons. So you can see the CDOT total asphalt pavement materials placed in 2022 just under 2 million tons. In 2023, the projected surface treatment program is coming down from the 1.36 of actual tons placed in 2022, as you see in that third column from the left. We're projecting 1.2 million tons of surface treatment placed projects in 2023. And you can see the range and the variation from 2022 to 2023 in the final column there on the right. As explained earlier, the capital or other funded projects totaling 322,000 tons. And if you combine that with the CDOT supply at the plant of 120,000 tons, the total CDOT projected market for 2023 is going to drop from 1.9 million tons plus down to about 1.6, 1.65 million tons here in 2023. So what does that look like from a project standpoint? In 2021, 1.75 million tons. We had 32 surface treatment projects in 2022, 1.9 million tons. We have 41 surface treatment projects planned in 2023. And that combined with the CMGC design build and other projects with a total market of 1.65 million tons. So there's your 14% projected decrease in the CDOT volume this year as compared to last year. So the number of projects up from 32 to 41, although in 2022 we had one project, no bids, 6 deferred, and 5 bids rejected. So CDOT program overall dropping by 14%. And here's the summary slide. 1.93 million tons placed in 2022 of the total 9.25 million tons placed in Colorado. So CDOT represented 21% of the overall market. We're projecting 1.65 million tons, or a drop of 14.5% reduction in the coming year.
Thanks, Tom. As you can see, local agencies are a valued partner of the Colorado Asphalt Pavement Association and what they bring to the state and mean to our industry. Local agencies are responsible for maintaining approximately 60,000 paved lane miles across the state, while CDOT may be the largest single entity in the state, maintaining about 23,000 lane miles. Local agencies are responsible for owning, maintaining, developing, rehabilitating about 72% of the asphalt roads across the state. They are the bread and butter of our asphalt paving industry. So as we move forward, what does CAPA do to help support that portion of our industry as we work hand in hand with our local agencies, rural and urban agencies, on their specifications, providing technical resources, street funding support, street improvement, asset management program resources, recognition in Best of Colorado Awards for quality work in construction. One of the things that we're happy about to participate is typically every year there are a handful of agencies that are going in front of their voters and their constituents trying to pass street improvement ballot initiatives. And last year in 2022, we worked with Pueblo West, the metropolitan district down there between Canyon City and the city of Pueblo, on their issue 4C, which passed 54%, and it moved the maintenance of their roads from the metro district back to the county. So Pueblo County will be absorbing the maintenance of those roads, and it also included a sales tax to provide funding for that maintenance. And then we were also in support and helped with the messaging for the PPRTA, which is the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority, and their extension of issue 7A, and it passed overwhelmingly 80%. So it will keep that sales tax in place for another 10 years until 2034. Both of these sales tax initiatives and those monies are dedicated directly, specifically for roadway applications. So one of the tools that we make available for our local agency partners is last year we created the Local Agency Streets Forum. It's an opportunity for peers, street managers, road and bridge directors from agencies to come together. We have 2 meetings a year in January and October, different topics. In January, we'll be talking about industry trends, outlook, funding, and procurement, whereas in October, we talk about more technical issues, specifications, materials, etc. Our most recent meeting back in October was hosted by the City of Westminster, and our upcoming meeting here in January, we'll draw your attention, is on January 19th, so save the date. The City of Centennial will be hosting that meeting for us in their Eagle Room facility, and it's a lunch meeting from 11:30 to 1 on January 19th, where we'll be sharing a deeper dive into local agency data that I'll be sharing here in just a moment. So registration for that winter forum is on the CAPA website. It's also in the CAPA newsletter, or you can contact us here at CAPA for any more information specifically. But one of the things we'll be talking about is the deeper dive is the annual pavement condition and funding performance report that we put together. So we'll be releasing this document at that meeting on January 19th, and then after the meeting, we'll be hosting it on the CAPA website for anybody to download and take a look at it. But when we started collecting this data back in 2015, we had 27 agencies participating. This year in 2023, we've got over 96 agencies participating. Those 96 agencies represent about 62,000 of those 63,000 lane miles across the state. So it's very comprehensive, and it includes data for agencies across the state that we've heard from mostly elected officials about what a powerful tool it is when you're making a justification for your local agency for increased funding or comparing your network performance against your neighbors or other comparable networks that may be similar in size. So one of the things that we can do, since we do this survey annually, is draw some local agency trends. And that's what we're here to share with you today is this small subset of our 2023 outlook. So we were able to compare head-to-head agencies that we had data that responded in 2022 and 2023. Not every agency responds every year, but the ones that do, we can do this comparison. So we have 15 agencies that we're looking at this year. You can see 5 of those agencies are reporting that their budgets are down. We've got 1 agency with no change, and 60% or 9 of those 15 agencies are showing an increase in funding. That's not a direct translation into increase in work. We'll talk about that in program delivery in just a minute, but funding is for about a little more than half the agencies is increasing. What does that look like? So in 2022, we had about just these 15 agencies. They were at about 81 million, and this year, 102 million. That's quite a jump. And let me talk about that for just a minute, because there is one agency, one out of the 9 that are on the green side here, increase, that is seeing a very significant increase in funding. Their mill and overlay program is jumping from 17 million to 37 million. They're seeing a $20 million jump this year, commitment. That happens to be the city of Aurora. So we're being careful not to let that number overwhelm the overall trends and what's happening here. So if we look at that data specifically for capital improvement projects, mill and overlay programs, and maintenance programs, I have a comparison here of 2022 versus 2023. And I'm reporting 2 numbers here, that delta for what we expect to see here. If we take the city of Aurora data out, meaning that $20 million increase, the overall trend for the agencies is down. If we include that 20 million extra from Aurora, it overwhelms the data. And you can see we have a 30+ differential in data. And if you look at the trend in the red box over to the right, you can see we're in single digit increases from year to year to year. So that 26%, we want to take that with a grain of salt. So how do we use some engineering judgment and make a call on what do we expect to see for mill and overlay funding? So here's a plot of the last couple of years of just mill and overlay programs for the head-to-head agencies. And if we take that large influx from Aurora out, the prognosis is at -7, but that's just for those 15 agencies. If we extrapolate that across the other 80+ agencies are participating, our best guess is that we're going to see local agency funding flat. And so we're calling that at about a 0. That does not translate directly into tonnage from funding, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So one of the things that we see for local agency trends when we talk about the difference in funding versus the difference in program delivery is a best practice is maintaining flexibility in program delivery. What do we mean by that? We mean being flexible on the scope of work, the work hours, and the schedule to help your contractors maximize the investment for the contract value that local agencies are doing and minimize impacts. The greatest piece of flexibility may come in the form of the scope of work here. Here's a great quote we saw how the city of Centennial handles this. So I reached out to Jeff Dankenbring. He's a public works director here in Centennial. And Jeff said our annual mill and overlay program is on a rollover contract, and we maintain flexibility of our streets program by adjusting the scope of work, meaning our tonnage, as necessary if costs exceed contract values. And so Jeff went on to say that they did expect the cost to exceed their contract values this year. So what they'll do instead of shelving their project is they will continue. But let's say they had a planned 80,000 ton program, but the budget will only allow for 65,000 tons. That's what they will do. They will reduce the scope of work in the contract and continue as planned with the reduced scope of work. That's what we talk about as a local agency best practice in flexibility is adjusting and flexing to meet those market conditions. Now, that's the local agency piece of our market. And the last piece of our market is the other compound. And here in Colorado, that's pretty significant. And it includes our toll roads, our airports, federal lands, national parks, military facilities, and state parks. The beautiful mountain picture that you see there, that's Cottonwood Pass. That was paved a couple of years ago through Central Federal Lands on a federal contract. The picture in the upper right-hand corner, that's the Glenwood Springs Airport that has recently received an overlay there in Glenwood Springs, and then Rocky Mountain National Park and the work that they're doing and the work that they're forecasting with their increased budget work. So it's significant. As we talked about toll roads in the Beltway here in the Denver metro area, we have almost an exclusively asphalt ring road that makes most of the way around the Denver metro area between E470, the Northwest Parkway, and the on-hold Jefferson Parkway, which is the dash section there up in quadrant number 1. But this is a significant driver, at least in the Denver metro area, what it impacts for tonnage and what's happening for the Denver metro area. For example, on E470, they will be moving into phase 3 widening this year in 2023. It's a section of work between I-70 and 104th. They're widening three lanes, 10 miles worth of work. It's $150 million worth of work, putting down about 250,000 tons of hot mix, with a majority of that going down this year. But this is a private tollway outside of the CDOT sector, outside of the local agency sector. This falls under that other category. One of the other pieces that is significant in the other category is airports. This happens to be the Durango airport that was had a recent mill and overlay this summer. But for 2023, the FAA and Colorado CDOT Aeronautics forecasting that there will be work in Pueblo, Trinidad, and Greeley at those 3 airports. The last component of the other is the Forest Service, which is significant here in Colorado. And I have 2 screenshots of some briefing that was shared a month or 2 ago, and it's kind of representative of how significant some of this road work can be for the Forest Service. At the top there, we see contract opportunities in about $7 million worth of road resurfacing in San Juan. And then down there in the Grand Mesa Uncompadre Gunnison district, they're showing about $20 million, which includes some road reconstruction projects. So these all fall under that category. It's difficult to capture, but that other category that we call other. So as we pull all of this data together, here is our projection of what we expect 2023 to look like. Our city and county market, which is approximately 39% of our overall industry as it relates to tonnage, not funding, we're estimating about a 3% decrease in volume. The CDOT DOT market, which is 21% of our market, we're estimating a 14% decrease in volume as tonnage. Our commercial market, we break into 2 different categories, 1/3 of 30%. We're expecting about a 3.5% decrease in volume. And on the residential, which is 2/3 of that 30%, we're expecting about an 8% decrease as that relates to the difference in single family and multifamily homes, that construction that Tom talked about earlier. So if we pull all this together, our total asphalt projection for 2023 is 8.7 million tons. That represents about a 6% decrease in overall tonnage from where we were in 2023.
As we look at 2023 in our outlook, here is just a couple of dynamics or trends and new developments to kick off with. Number one is on the political front, and the number of public policy issues impacting business and the construction industry. Here's a laundry list of them. A number of them are on every single year. A couple that we do want to highlight, and of course, a reality in Colorado is an ever increasing swing to the left, or a legislature that is controlled by the Democrats, both in the Senate, the House, the governor office, and it's only getting strengthened, and that was the result of the 2022 election. And with that is an ever increasing focus on environmental issues, on regulations, on taxes, and that will impact obviously issues such as energy, oil and gas, healthcare, labor, regulations, taxes, transportation, funding, and fees. 2 that we wanted to highlight on here specifically is on the environmental side, and the swing to the left of environmental scrutiny on air quality, on material selection, on permits, as Mike mentioned in the EPD side. Second one is this growth caps. And what is that? That's where local agencies implement restrictions on growth. Lakewood has one. Boulder has one. And there's chatter that there's others that will implement similar caps here in 2022 or 2023 and beyond. Recently in the legislature, highlights that will be focused on as we start the 2023 legislative session, water. and leaders committing to addressing water shortage. And of course, that impacts development. The slide over on the right, Polis, the governor, seeking $200 million to fight property tax hikes, rejects eliminating the 2-cent gas tax increases. So there you have taxes, fees, transportation funding, 3 issues rolled into one. The lower left is legislators don't expect them to extend fee relief. And so you have taxes, then you have fees. Another issue very important to Colorado and the asphalt industry is the EPA increasing oversight into air quality issues, regional air quality, specifically as it relates to construction materials, the crude oil facility in Commerce City, that it's discriminatory air pollution. And so that's a legislative effort that is also tied to regulations, and the EPA looking at regional air quality as it relates to operational permitting restrictions, requirements from a construction material and from a crude oil refining standpoint here in Colorado. And then the growth cap issue. Denver counties wins Supreme Court approval to limit growth. And that was Lakewood here a couple of years ago. Now they're looking at this and increasing regulations to limit growth. And of course, that would impact development and construction as well.
In addition to our 2023 economic outlook for the industry, we'd like to share some upcoming trends that our industry is seeing. Here's our first two. Local agency specifications. We saw some significant changes last year, right at the tail end of 2022 for local agency specifications. A prime piece of that would have been the MEGPEG specification and their local agency spec. It's been written for the local agencies. All references to CDOT have been removed. It is local agency friendly, and it's in use up and down the Front Range, including other agencies through the Central Mountains, Western Slope, and Eastern Colorado. So if your local agency is looking to update your specifications, give us a call here at CAPA, because we'll talk you through that as a technical resource, the MEGPEG specification. But that's not the only spec that is in play here in Colorado. The Pikes Peak region, which is Pikes Peak in El Paso County, etc., down there, they have a paving specification. In Northern Colorado also has a paving specification, and they have Northern Colorado has a new agency forum that's representing the local agencies in Northern Colorado and industry. So lots of things in play there. The second industry trend I'd like to share with you is recycled plastics. This is starting to gain some traction in Colorado, and in fact, Pueblo County has paved the first pilot test section, including recycled plastics in their roadway section. So it was put down at the tail end of 2022. There's some laboratory testing being conducted on it now, and we're curious to see as far as performance metrics go, how that is going to perform here in Colorado with our weather and our traffic. So stay tuned, more to come on the recycled plastics and asphalt. But not only are we monitoring that for performance here locally in Colorado, but NAPA, the National Asphalt Pavement Association, is also monitoring plastic additives at NCAT, the National Center for Asphalt Technology, their test track. They have an additive section that was constructed in the most recent version of their ring, and they are testing that now. So stay tuned, more to come. This is, I'd say, hot off the press. This is new information as it's coming into Colorado. Trends number 3 and 4 as it relates to paving green and the environmental side of our business. So the big splash last year was the introduction of environmental product declarations from the state legislature in Colorado, and the state legislature directed 2 of state agencies to implement environmental product declarations. the Department of Transportation and the Office of the State Architect, and how those impact our industry, the asphalt paving industry. CDOT clearly for the paving that happens on the interstate and state highway system, but the Office of the State Architect is responsible mainly for vertical construction for all state facilities across Colorado. And all of those facilities have asphalt parking lots associated with them. Prime example of this would be Colorado State University. That is a state university, and so the 20 or so plus asphalt parking lots that are affiliated with that facility at Colorado State University fall under the jurisdiction of the Office of the State Architect. Therefore, they will require an EPD. This is also going to be included for federal agencies, so work national parks, central federal land. So this is a very, there's a lot of headwind in these environmental product declarations to date. I checked this morning, we have 45 published EPDs in Colorado, and CAPA has an EPD work group. So if your company, if you're a producer that has not produced an EPD yet, give us a call. We can help you move forward with this. If you're a local agency and you're just now hearing about this, we're happy to share some information. But right now, this is just this is really happening at the state level. On the other side, expanding on that, sustainability, environmentality is the use of green asphalt in Colorado. And there's really three pieces of low-hanging fruit as we talk about those types of industry trends. Number one, streamlining / increasing the use of WMA, or a warm mix additive, workability mix additive. Right now, CDOT only uses WMA in approximately 15% of the tonnage that goes down around the state. At least that was the 2021 data. We haven't seen the statistics for 2022 yet. But this is it's a win-win-win for industry and owners to use that because of the increases in use of ability to maintain paving in colder temperatures and still reach compaction. So as a quality control effort, increasing and streamlining the use of WMA as far as mixed designs are concerned. A piece of low-hanging fruit. Number two in the green asphalt in Colorado is to expand the use of recycled asphalt. And we're talking about incremental expansion, moving from, if you're a local agency, the MEGPEG spec has moved that recommendation from 20% RAP to 25% RAP. CDOT specification is 23% binder replacement, which is plus or minus about 25% RAP. So if we're moving that needle from the 25 to 30% RAP, we're not talking about 50% RAP mixes or something crazy like that. But moving that needle to incorporate more RAP has environmental and sustainability positives associated with that. And then the third is to allow the introduction of an alternative to hydrated lime as an anti-stripping agent for your projects. And we've seen a couple of mixes as part of this EPD process that have comparable mixes that have been prepared, one with lime and one with not, and we're seeing about a 19% reduction in their EPD in doing so. So there's a couple of easy fixes here. If your agency has a mission to promote green paving, if you'd like to learn more, give me a call here at CAPA, and I'm happy to visit with you. And the last two industry trends that I'd share with you that we see going strong into 2023 is smoothness and program delivery. Building smoothness. This is an important initiative we're seeing from the Federal Highway Administration, and they're asking and promoting CDOT to increase their smoothness. So there's some work in the smoothness specifications at CDOT to lower the smoothness number, which indicates it's a smoother road. And so the bread and butter as part of building smoother roads, we know is a standard mill, level, and overlay application. And instead of building one larger lift, say a 3-inch lift for a mill and overlay project, is breaking that into two different projects. You may be doing an inch or an inch and a half leveling project and then a 2-inch overlay on top of that, giving the contractor two opportunities to increase smoothness as opposed to coming by and doing it in one pass. So a lot happening on the smoothness. If you have any questions specifically about that, you can reach out here to Tom Clayton, and he's our smoothness expert. And then the last trend is program delivery. We talked about that earlier when I said about flexibility, but maximizing your investment for an agency in long life, serviceability of your projects, and impacts, meaning minimizing the impacts to our traveling public. How do you get in and get it built as quickly as possible while building the best road possible? And so there's some new nuances to that as far as program delivery goes. The last element that you're going to start hearing more and more about coming out of the CDOT realm is balanced mix designs. We've been talking about this for a couple of years, and CDOT is continuing to make headway into their research, but the concept of the balanced mix design remains the same. It's balancing rutting performance and cracking performance and finding that sweet spot in the middle that maximizes crack resistance and rut resistance at the same time. So CAPA has a balanced mix design work group that is working with CDOT, but more to come. CDOT has not published their specification for this yet, but as that comes out, we'll see impacts to industry and as how we're working with them as the shareholder to move forward. The last topic I'd like to just talk about as trends is we get questions here at the association is how much does a ton of asphalt cost? How much does asphalt cost? And so when we answer this question, first of all, you'll notice on the the CAPA website, we do not track asphalt prices. We're not allowed to do that. So when we get asked that question, we answer it in a couple of different ways because prices that are reflected in the price of a ton of asphalt have to incorporate labor costs, materials, availability, flexibility of schedules, payment schedules. If your agency is a slow pay or a quick pay, specifications. So the easy way to think about that is this is like a triangle. We've got the cost of materials, we've got the cost of liquid asphalt, and then we've got the cost of doing business. The cost of materials is rising as it relates to aggregate costs. The cost of liquid asphalt had made some corrections earlier in last year, as Tom Peterson alluded to. But the third element over there, the cost of doing business, that affects every one of us. Our healthcare premiums all go up every year. Our fleet insurance costs go up every year. Our insurance and cost of doing business goes up every year. Rent on the office building that you're in goes up every year. And so all of those elements have to be incorporated into the cost or the ton of asphalt. So if we've got rising costs on doing business, rising costs on materials, steady or slightly fluctuating costs on liquid asphalt, two of those three drivers are in the up arrow category. So that's why we see the cost of asphalt where it is in relation to the price of gasoline. And it doesn't have that same type of fluctuation because it has different influence factors. So what I'll wrap up with as we talk about trends is trying to maximize performance and your return on investment while minimizing impacts. Here's a couple of just bullet points for local agencies that they can use. And we offer these as lunch and learns or presentations to local agencies for training. So if you would like CAPA to come in and specifically target some of these, but short and sweet, get the workout early, utilize and maximize your recycled asphalt, use uniform and consistent material specifications, don't do something crazy with your specs, maximize your work hours and be flexible with your schedule, and develop as an accurate as engineer's estimate as possible. If you can incorporate even just a couple of these will really help your agency as you're putting your bids together.
Thank you. As I take over here today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the technical resources and training that we have developed. I'm Tom Clayton. I'm the Director of Training at CAPA and the RMAEC. We actually are the LabCap certification program as well. So we're going to be talking about that as I move along here. So just some of the communication stuff that we have available. Hopefully you guys got in the mail yesterday or today. The membership directory that just came out, that's the 2023 membership directory. We realized that when that directory is printed, It's only as good as the information we have in it, so we try to update that and keep it as updated as possible. Some of the other things that we do, once a month we send out this news magazine, our newsletter electronically. It's called In Front of the Paver. This is the January one that went out on January 3rd. We sent it out. We typically send them out on the 1st of the month. Obviously, a holiday pushed us back a little bit, but you can see that's our newsletter. We also have our website, which is very robust. We have everything you can think of and need in there. There are 2 tabs that I point out in particular. I'm hovering the laser pointer over right there. That's the LabCat tab. This was the RMAEC tab. The one right next to the LabCat tab is a resources tab, and that's full of all kinds of different resources and everything else. So we have a social media initiative where we promote asphalt, we promote our memberships, and we promote individual companies and or products that are out there. More information, just reach out with me. That's Tom Clayton at co-asphalt.com. Things that are coming up. We have the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Mountain Asphalt Conference and Equipment Show be coming up here in just a month from today, exact 4 weeks from today. We will start that. That's on February 7th. It'll run February 7th and 8th. It's at the National Western Complex, which is at 4655 Humboldt Street. Some of the highlights, we're going to be focusing on best practices in materials engineering, leadership, maintenance, and rehab. 7 different tracks going. Each track they have a 75-minute session. Then we'll have a break and then another 75-minute session. There are 6 different sessions that go on within each of those 7 tracks. We have our general keynote, and we're bringing back retired Navy SEAL Jason Redmond. He will be there to enlighten us, to get us motivated, to get us going. You can see that we have 24 breakout sessions, which include 18 educational plus the 101s. And then on the evening of the 8th, we will have the Best in Colorado Asphalt Pavement Awards, which will be handed out that night. As part of the conference, we will have a raffle drawing. We will be selling tickets at the conference for $5 each. The grand prize is pictured right there. We just got that. It's a 2023 Kawasaki Vulcan S. We'll be giving that away to one lucky winner. Our first prize is this Traeger 855 pellet grill. And then we will have 3 other prizes that we will be giving away as well. So again, that conference is February 7th and 8th, 2023. You can register at RMACES, which is the acronym for Rocky Mountain Asphalt Conference Equipment Show.org. We have a webinar series that we run each year. Obviously, this is the first of those webinars, the Industry Outlook. The other webinars that we have are perpetual payments, the use of SMA. You can read the whole list down below here in this area down here. These are no cost to the CAPA members and the APWA, CARS, CDOT members. We appreciate all of the sponsors that we have that keep these at no cost, and we want to thank our sponsors. You can register for those. You can see here at www.coasphalt.com/webinars and sponsors, which is on that RMAEC page on the CAPA website. This past year, we've had a few tragic accidents out there where we have lost members of the industry. Over the last 18 months, we've lost several members of the industry. We have an active workforce safety council, and we're looking at that. Part of that is this in 2022, we got together with our other partners, the CCA, the ACPA, AGC of Colorado. There were many of us involved, and we had a Go Orange Day, which is a stand down day. We had a big event in the parking lot at which is the CAPA building or the CCA building. That will be on Wednesday, April 19th. We encourage as many people to come as we can. We had CDOT there speaking. We had other speakers. We invited the media out to talk about that day and what's going on. If anybody's interested, you have people in your company, your organization that you think would be good to fit on our safety council, again, contact me. I can hook them up. They can get them part of the safety council. We do 2 different training. We have 2 different training options. We have this one, which is the short course in asphalt technology. You can see here the date whenever you want it. location, wherever you want it, your office, where you want it. We can do it in our space if we have it available. And then the subjects are picked by you. So you can pick it, make it be 1 hour, half a day, full day, 2 hours, whatever you want it to be. We can tailor it to fit your needs. So if you're looking to do that, again, contact myself, or you heard my partner a little bit earlier, Mike Skinner, and we will certainly get you set up to that. Dates are starting to fill up. We know that, the training window here is short. It's usually January, February, March, maybe into April, and then we're going to run out of time. People are going to be out working. You're not going to have a lot of people around. So again, get those dates in, reach out to myself or Mike Skinner. Mike and I do lunch and learns as well. We go out and partner on those. Again, it's the same thing. This is truly a lunchtime thing, but we'll slide them up and down, whatever. We've done those. We've done these for many different companies, consultants, contractors, cities, counties, things that we can talk about, specifications, new technologies, whatever. It's kind of your thing. You call us. You tell us what you want to know. You tell us what you'd like us to talk about. We'll come in, talk to your group. Come in. We either can work it out that we can bring lunch, or you can get lunch, and we can do it over the lunch hour, so we have a good lunch and learn program. Again, reach out to myself or Mike Skinner. Newest effort we have is our workforce development. We all know that we're struggling for employees. We're struggling to keep employees. So we are looking at trying to figure out how to do that. Some of the things that we do is we're out promoting careers, not jobs. There are a lot of places that have jobs. You can get a job at McDonald's and you can get a job at Starbucks. But if you want a career, we know that our industry provides careers, and people want a career. We're working with the universities such as CSU. You can see here in this upper right picture. That was a group that we went up last year. We work with the construction management department at CSU. Within their one of their units, they do basically teach the level A LabCat classroom portion, and then we go up and we get a bunch of volunteer proctors to go up, and we certified all of these people that you see in this picture last spring, so they can come out from their spring semester. They're ready to go to work. They have a LabCat certification already. Been over to Mesa State, or Mesa University now. Sorry, I'm an old guy, so I still call it Mesa State. But down over at Mesa, we've been down to CSU Pueblo. We're working with those universities to help promote our industry. We also have our Women of Asphalt group, and they're out promoting what's going on in the industry, and they're trying to attract the young ladies. The Women of Asphalt group is not just for women. There are a lot of men that are in the Women of Asphalt group. Actually, the lead instructor for the Women of Asphalt group is a gentleman named Andy Heber, and he leads a lot of their training. They have a training academy, and they do one training class every quarter, and Andy leads those for the Women of Asphalt. We are going to be doing a statewide advertising campaign beginning in February. We're going to be advertising at across the state in various movie theaters and other places to try and attract people into the industry. Some of the other things that we are working on and we have set up events such as the Skills USA State Meeting, which is going to be held in Pueblo in April. The FFA annual conference last year was in Pueblo. I'm assuming it'll be back in Pueblo again. And then Transportation and Construction Girl has 2 events, and our Women of Asphalt group is typically leads kind of that event, and they go out to that Transportation and Construction Girl. If you'd like to become a member of the workforce development, we reached out to many of the HR contacts, the human resources contacts from our members, but we didn't get them all. We'd love to have more involvement from them. So if somebody would like to be part of our workforce development group, again, reach out to me, Tom Clayton, co-asphalt.com, and I'll be happy to get you hooked up. One of the courses that we offer that's led by Cindy Rutkowski, who is our instructor in the RMAEC. She does an Introduction to PCOA Testing education course. This is really the precursor for anybody that needs to get LabCat certification. Companies hire new people. They don't necessarily have the time to get them fully trained. They don't have the time to get them up to speed. Well, they can send them into Cindy. She'll put them through this class. We offer this 5 times a year. It's anywhere from 1 day to a week long, or 1 day to 4 days. long. So depending on how many levels of certification they're trying to acquire, 1 to 4 days for A, B, C, and E. So that's available. You can see the link to that is on the website under RMA, under the RMAEC tab. So you can see that and go for that, go out for that. Really, one of the things that we are really very proud about in our industry is that over 90% of all the pavements, that's roadways, parking lots, bike paths, are made of asphalt. So we need to have a strong workforce, and we need to have a vibrant workforce, and we need to have a lot of workforce out there to help us promote and build our asphalt pavements and maintain our asphalt pavements. So the asphalt industry of Colorado, we're a proud group of people. We have a very diverse group of people. We have men, women, old, young, every race, creed that you can think of. We are a very inclusive industry. We love our workers, we love our workforce, and we love our country. So we're out there promoting what we have. So with that said, I get the pleasure of ending this webinar today. I want to thank everybody for being on. As you check out today, you will get a pop-up screen as everybody's checking out. And there's just a short little questionnaire in there. We have some questions we ask you. If anybody would like to reach out to us afterward, our emails are on the screen. Tom Peterson, who presented early, Mike Skinner, who came in a little bit later, and then myself to follow up. You can see our emails are there on the screen. We'll leave that screen. I'll leave that screen up for just a few more seconds. So if anybody needs them, you probably know how to get a hold of us anyway, but if you need those, we have them available for you. So with that said, I want to end my portion. If there's anybody that has questions, we will open up the chat window at this point, or we would love to take live questions now. As soon as this ends, if you have questions, we would answer those. If not, we hope that you all have a very productive 2023, and the main thing is to stay safe and be smart. Have a great day. Well, we've ended up. Would love to answer any questions that anybody might have. The three of us are sitting here waiting anxiously for anybody that might have questions for us. You can either unmute yourself or type them in that chat window, and we'll give you just a minute to do that. A lot of people bailing out already. So just a second. Tom, you said some follow-up comments you'd like to add?
Just a couple, Tom. Thank you. Number one is the presentation, the forecast, the outlook was very general, and we went very quickly through it. Our website will have the links to the documents that were referenced for the economic forecast, the reference to the Lead School of Business report, the Colorado or the Denver Business Journal report, and then the third, the Colorado Legislative Economic Forecast. All three reference documents are linked from our website, and a PDF of the presentation in its entirety is available from our website. Also, like Tom said, I would encourage any of you, if you have specific questions, comments in a locale or a specific market area that you'd like to dial in a little bit closer on, feel free to use us as a resource to do just that. And so, and then finally, hope to see you at the conference. Tom mentioned it real quickly. A lot of improvements made from last year. Our first at the National Western Complex. It's chock full of content on best practices in each of the 4 engineering, maintenance, materials, and leadership areas. And so we hope to see you there. So with that, turn it over to Mike, or back to you, Tom, unless you have something.
Mike, go ahead and give us your closing thoughts.
I'd like to see everybody at the conference, and save the date for January 19th. That's where we'll go into the deep dive on our local agency forecast, and we'll share the data for the 96 plus agencies, not just the trends, but the actual data for all of the agencies across the state.
Mike did mention that the local agency event on January 19th, but he's also established a Northern Colorado group that met back in December, and you're going to meet again this spring as well, Mike, with that group, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we've got agencies are those agency meetings in Northern Colorado, Southern Colorado, and the Western Slope will be kicking off this year.
All right, no questions coming in. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and end this bad boy. But I want to end it with, again, thanking our sponsors. You can see them on the screen. I mentioned them all earlier. They are so critical to us to keep these webinars open and free, and then we can get on the 100 people today that registered. So we want to thank everybody for being on. Hope to see most of you at the conference come February 7th and 8th. Stop by the raffle table and pick up your tickets to win that Vulcan motorcycle or that Traeger grill or the other 3 great prizes that we'll have available. So with that said, have a great day. Be safe. Be smart.
Thank you.